to our very capable WCPP staff members. This is Wednesday, the 3rd of May, 2023, 9 o'clock, according to the clock. And this is the Ad hoc Committee on the appointment of the Public Service Commissioner. A warm welcome to everyone present this morning. Just before we continue, meneer Maree, of liever meneer Vermeulen, het ons 'n quorum, kan ons voortgaan?
Voorzitter, ons kan voortgaan. Ons het 'n quorum, dankie.
Ek sê vir baie dankie. Colleagues, all meeting documents have been distributed to all members just in relation to the agenda. We've dealt with the opening and welcoming. If I can just ask the indulgence of the committee that item 4 on the agenda, which deals with the adoption of the minutes of the 16th of March 2023, if we can deal with adoption of the minutes on point 2. And the reason for that is there is a matter emanating from the minutes that Honorable Syed raised in our previous minutes. So then we can deal with that concerning matters arising. Is that fine with all members?
In order.
Thank you so much. And then for the record, please introduce yourselves. Thank you, members.
Khalid Sayed, member of the committee.
Morning, Deirdre Bartman.
Morning, Chairperson Kilian Postman.
Morning, Chairperson Christopher Fry.
Morning,
Chair
Chairperson.
Pretorius.
Morning,
Sorry, Sean.
Chairperson Peter Murray, member of the committee.
Good morning, Chair. Dan Plato.
Morning, Chairperson Sean August.
Morning, Chair Gerrit Pretorius, alternating for member van der Westhuizen.
Thank you so much. I believe that is all members present. Thank you so much. Meneer Vermeulen, can I please ask for you to just flag the previous minutes for us?
Jay, can you see it?
Yes, I can see the
Okay,
minutes.
great.
Can you perhaps just make it a slight bit bigger? Thank you very much, colleagues. On your screen, you will see the minutes of the meeting of the 16th of March. On page 1, please do check your attendance. The apologies received at the time. We then dealt with the chairperson election. And then on point 2, members will see, as raised previously, the point of procedure that was raised by the Honorable Syed. Honorable Syed, just to double check with you, are you happy that that is the true reflection?
I'm just checking, Chairperson.
Thank you.
That's not the plan. Thanks, Chair. Just on the next one, in terms of next.
On the next actions, is that point 3 you're referring to?
Yes, Chair, point 3. Sorry, I went on to mute, Chair.
Thank you.
It was just one thing, and I sent it to Mr. Vermeulen late yesterday, or at least yesterday afternoon. You had also indicated, and I think that's omitted, it said in response to Honorable Syed, the chairperson indicated that what was ATC'd was the motion read out in the House. So just that part.
Should be included?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We will make that amendment and also duly accepted by the House.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vermeulen. If you can please make that amendment to point 3. And then, honourable colleagues, with the amendment suggested by Honourable Syed, can I have a proposer to adopt the minutes? I see the Honourable Bartman's hand.
I move to adopt with amendments.
Thank you very much, Honourable Bartman. A seconder.
Member Fry, second.
Thank you very much, Honourable Fry. And then the minutes of the 16th of March is then duly adopted with the amendment proposed by the Honourable Said. Colleagues, then just in relation to the point of procedure, as indicated as a next step, there was advice taken by the administration. And I think if we need any further clarity after just conveying that to the committee, Advocate Maasdorp, are you online with us as well?
Morning, Chairperson. I am online and available. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much also to you for being present this morning. So on point 2, matters arising, or rather point 2 of the minutes that we just adopted in terms of the process, honourable colleagues. Remember that a letter was received from the Public Service Commission by the former Speaker, and that letter was received on the 27th of September last year. And that letter indicated and requesting the WCPP to commence with the process of filling the vacancy of the Western Cape Public Service Commissioner, seeing that the term of the current Commissioner will come to an end on the 30th of September this year. So subsequently, the Provincial Parliament adopted a motion on the 2nd of March this year to establish this ad hoc committee and for us to nominate a candidate for the appointment as Commissioner. The members, obviously, on this platform, your names were ATC'd on the 10th of March, and there was also a change of membership on the 15th of March that was also duly ATC'd. We had our first meeting on the 16th of March where we dealt with the chairperson election, and the procedural matter that was raised on the 16th, where Member Said requested that the ATC terms of reference be corrected as the Public Service Commission Act was amended. Honourable Said also referred to the amendment as in Section 4 of the Act that allowed for the renewal process of the term of the office of the current Commissioner. And Honourable Said then also requested that the terms of reference to the committee should include reference to the renewal of a term of the office of the current Commissioner and not just the application procedure as per the current terms of reference. So the question that was raised in terms of the parliamentary procedure as in Standing Rule 92 states then accordingly that the matter is referred to a committee by the Speaker and the resolution of the House and in terms of the rules. The motion referred to the point point 2, and then the House unanimously adopted that resolution on the 2nd of March. Which then also dealt with the establishment of this specific committee. And of course, the motion included for the consideration of the applications as stated in that specific motion. Honourable members, just to provide you the background and the clarity on the matter that was raised, Honourable Said, if you can just provide an indication whether you are happy with that brief provided in terms of your matter raised. I see your hand.
Chair, thank you very much, Chair. No, I want to indicate that I'm not satisfied, Chairperson. And I would like an opportunity to respond, Chair.
I believe at this point you are most welcome to respond.
Well, Chair, thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to the committee, and thank you also to the procedural officer. Chair, I just wanted to again state, Chair, in the previous meeting, and as we have indicated, I raised concerns about the process and basically what was in the ATC. As the chair, you indicated firstly, basically what was ATC'd was the motion read out in the House and correctly, which was unanimously adopted, as well as the administration, that the administration will be consulted with regards to the concerns raised and that members will be informed on the way forward. Now, the administration has provided a brief, which I have also read under the title of procedural issue raised at the committee meeting on the 16th of March 2023. Now, the challenge with this particular brief and with the advice is that it is given based on parliamentary procedure, as you have also stated now and read out, and not based on the law, Chairperson. Now, it is our view as the ANC that preference is given here to the standing rules instead of national legislation, and that is wrong. Now, while the motion may have been unanimously adopted in the House, I mean, which is correct, it was, it does not prevent the committee chair from advising that it has not followed the correct procedure and therefore referring a revised motion to the House for adoption. So while the adoption of the motion was in line with Rule 92 of the standing rules, as has been stated, it was not in line with Section 4, as I said previously, subsection 6 of the Public Service Commission Act as amended. And we are of the view that we cannot bend national legislation to correct our mistake and then say the present incumbent is free to apply for the vacancy. Section 4, subsection 6 of the Act says the exact opposite of this. So there's a contradiction. And it is our view that the motion, as pointed out by the chairperson in the last meeting, which was adopted in the House, must be rescinded, and that a new motion in line with Section 4, subsection 6 of the Act must be drafted and then passed by the House. And I fear that if we do not do this, we'll be opening the process up to possible litigation. It will compromise the process. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for your input and your comments, Honourable Syed. I'm going to provide an opportunity to the Honourable Klaas and immediately after Honourable Klaas, Honourable Baartman. And then Advocate Maasdorp, if we can also just get your view on this matter. Honourable Klaas.
Thank you. Sorry for the disturbance that I made lately. What I can say that I support what the Honourable Syed said. Let this matter to be redrafted in order to pass as a motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Klaas. Duly noted. Honourable Baartman.
Thank you, Chair. I see at the end of the brief, the references include the Public Service Act as amended, as well as the respective constitutional sections as references for the procedural brief. So I just wanted to find out whether the amended Act and the Constitution was taken into consideration for the brief. I know Advocate Maasdorp is also online, so perhaps he could assist us with the legal nature of the brief and so on. And my understanding, and maybe Advocate Maasdorp should just assist me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that it's not mandatory for the committee to deal with what you call it, it's a renewal, that the committee has the right to open it up to multiple persons to apply for the respective position in this regard. If I could just get clarity on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Baartman. Honourable Klaas, I saw your hand going up there briefly. Is that a legacy hand, or is there indeed something that you would want to add in addition?
No, thank you. I was just want to remove it. So now the technology beats me when you know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Klaas. Advocate Maasdorp, if you can please be of assistance.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, can the committee hear me? I just have an issue with my laptop.
Yes, Advocate.
that
We can
it
hear you loud
freezes
and clear.
Yeah, good. My laptop seemed to freeze intermittently, and then I can't access my attachments. And because I'm trying to reference the act to read the actual wording, as well as the actual wording of the resolution. One can certainly go a distance to interpret the act, the amended act that is. One can go a distance to interpret the understanding or the intention behind the resolution and the specific wording there. I will not do that. Let me say the following, that one cannot have a renewal without being appointed to a new term. An appointment includes the renewal of a term. I failed to understand die gewag wat gemaak word. I failed to understand the extent to which the hairs are being split. The committee was empowered by the House, was indeed mandated by the House to initiate a process for the appointment of a commissioner. That includes any and everyone, even an incumbent who is open to apply for a position in order to be appointed as a commissioner. It presupposes that renewal is included in the interpretation or understanding of appointment of the appointment of a commissioner. I'm at pains to explain it any further. If the committee can maybe put a specific, and I've had engagements in this regard with Mr. Vermeulen. For the record, this is not a legal issue, it's a completely procedural matter. As I'm reading the act, as I'm reading the resolution, this committee is empowered, it is within the remit of this committee to initiate a process that will culminate in the appointment of a commissioner. It reads into it, it presupposes and includes. In fact, let me put it the other way. It does not exclude the appointment of an incumbent, which will then become a renewal of that incumbent's term. The committee's resolution or the House resolution is not effective. Let me stop at that, Chair.
Thank you very much, Advocate. That definitely provides the clarity, I think, that was sought. I'm just going to give, I see some hands, Honourable Marais and then Honourable Bartman.
Chair, thank you very much. I think we must just try and see what it is that Honourable Member Said pointed out, and I'm not sure whether appointment in legal terms and reappointment is the same thing. Maybe Advocate Bartman or Advocate Barstow can tell me if it says the appointment of somebody equates also the reappointment of an incumbent. Certainly there are certain legal prescripts that says you, in order to be reappointed, there's another way or criteria that's involved there. Reappointment and appointment, is it the same thing? I'm not a lawyer, but I slept next to lawyers already. Just in a jocular way. I've been in the company, many of them, and these are technical issues. Is this a technical issue? Is it a legal technical issue? Or is it just something that you can say substitute the one by the other? Because appointment and reappointment, in terms of my understanding of the law, are totally two different things.
Thank you very much, Honourable Marais. Honourable Bartman.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'm not the legal advisor for the committee, so I will not be advising the committee legally. Sure. I am satisfied with the answer we've received both from Mr. Vermeulen from procedural viewpoint and from Advocate Marstorp that he has raised today. I'm satisfied that the appointment includes renewal. And I'm satisfied that we are allowed as a committee to initiate a process in order for the PSC commissioner to be appointed. And I would quite frankly like to move that this discussion has been sufficiently discussed, because I think we are now going in circles on the same point. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Bartman. Honourable Sayed, I'm going to provide you an opportunity since you raised the point. Please proceed.
Chair, thank you very much, and thank you to Mr. Mazdorp, Advocate Mazdorp, for that explanation. Maybe I'm not listening carefully, but it still does not answer the question as to the contradiction with the Public Service Act, section number 4, subsection 6. It still does not answer that. And I'm not satisfied. And it's not that we are going in circles here. We need to do our processes correctly so that we are completely foolproof from any type of possible litigation. That's the concern that we are raising here, and as to why we are saying, let it go back to the House, let it be amended, and then let it be adopted after that. But I can see here that there is already a view, and there's a majority view. But I'm just stating again our misgivings with the explanation and with the process that is being followed.
Thank you very much, Honourable Sayed. Mr. Mazdorp, or rather Advocate Mazdorp, in closing, I will, if you wish to make a closing remark on this matter, I will provide you with the opportunity. Not being a legal eel myself, but in layman's terms, so basically what we are mandated to do as a committee is to open up the process. And whoever wishes to apply, that includes the current incumbent, is to do so through the necessary process. The committee will then deal with those applications, and should the person be the preferred candidate, that subsequently will come down to a renewal as the person is the incumbent. Should it be someone else, that will be an appointment. But that is how I understand the mandate of this committee. If you can just perhaps give us some word in closing, Advocate Mazdorp. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I hear Member Sayed. Let me zoom in to subsection 4. And I'm going to try again to open this attachment because my laptop seems to have a mind of its own today. Let me zoom into the applicable section.
Romeo, I can open it for you and from my side, the act, if you want to.
So it's open now for Milan, but thanks for that. If need be, I'll call on you again.
Oh, okay.
Chairperson, this committee is an ad hoc committee. It doesn't have a life unless life is breathed into it by a resolution of the House. And the House also determines the length of that life. In other words, execute the following mandate. These are your terms of reference. If you stray beyond that, you will be acting outside your mandate and your decisions will not stand. They may be voidable. So this committee has a limited lifespan with a limited purpose. There will always be a commissioner. So it could be an incumbent's term which will be renewed or which may be renewed, or it will be a new appointment. Along comes the House and gives a mandate. In fact, it first creates this committee and says, you know what, committee, go forth and appoint a commissioner. Take note, we have an incumbent, but the House says, go forth and appoint a commissioner. Unanimously, it says that. Now, what does subsection 4 say? And this is me attempting to open the attachment, which I've done now. Subsection 4 says, fit and proper persons, and that is defined somewhere else, shall be invited by public notice to apply for the vacancy. Take note, if there is an appointment process, then fit and proper people shall be invited. In other words, this is a public process. We're going to go the public route, advertising newspapers, online, etc. People out there, come, you are to be considered if you are interested and qualified and fit and proper to be appointed as a commissioner. That's what sub 4 says. Take note, the resolution says, initiate for the appointment. The ultimate purpose of this committee is to secure the appointment. In other words, make a recommendation to the House and to the Premier eventually. Now, it is simply in accordance with logic that if you are an incumbent, if this committee was mandated to renew, or if this committee was mandated to consider a renewal and eventual appointment of a commissioner, then the following section, namely sub 6, kicks in. It says, you know what? If there's a renewal, then there doesn't have to be a public notice to apply. That is so logical because there's already an incumbent. And if you're incumbent, it means that you have already satisfied the public scrutiny process. If you are to be renewed, and this is what our resolution would have said, it doesn't say that, by the way, but had it said that a renewal must also be considered by this committee, then if this committee is to recommend the appointment or the reappointment, then we don't have to go the public route of inviting a public notice, via a public notice. So, two things. This committee must eventually come up with a recommendation to the House for a preferred candidate. If this committee feels that the current incumbent needs to be, because of his standard of ethic, his professional standard of work, etc., that we are entitled to have this for another term, then this committee does not, take note, sub 4, this committee does not have to invite by public notice for anyone to apply. It simply recommends renewal. But the House unanimously says, committee, go and initiate the process for the eventual appointment. Suddenly now, sub 4 kicks in. Sub 6 is irrelevant. Sub 4 says, you know what? If you want to get to the point of making a recommendation for an appointment, just make sure that you ensure that fit and proper persons are invited by public notice to apply for this vacancy. I do not see one, contradiction, confusion, or any hint of unclarity in that. In fact, the resolution unanimously adopted gives one mandate: start a process for the appointment, which means sub 4 kicks in, sub 6 is irrelevant. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Advocate Maasdorp. Honourable colleagues, I think we should now move along from this point. I am satisfied with the clarity provided to the committee this morning, and that we stand by the resolution as unanimously adopted by the House. And we continue with the business of the day, which will now set out the planning in order for us to conclude this process. Advocate Maasdorp, thank you so much for your sound advice and your clarity provided to the committee this morning. Honourable colleagues, are we in agreement? Can we move along?
Agreed.
Chairperson, I agree. We can move along.
Thank you so much. Honourable members, with regards to Honourable Syed.
Chair, we hear Advocate Mazdop. So what I want to, firstly, I mean, I'm still not satisfied, but it's fine. He says that, I just wanted to get a sense, is he saying that subsection 4 of the Act now kicks in and subsection 6 of the Act becomes irrelevant? I just wanted to get a sense of what is he saying there. Thanks.
Advocate
Or
Mazdorp.
section 4 kicks in and subsection 6 becomes irrelevant. Just wanted to.
Okay. The committee is mandated to initiate a process for the appointment of a commissioner. So, because we're a public entity, our processes are open and transparent, and 1, and 2, so we shall invite from the public. But we don't just invite any person, we invite someone who is fit and proper, and those are legal terms which are defined somewhere else. So if this committee, mandated as it is to reach a point of recommendation for the appointment of a commissioner, then this committee must make sure that that person is fit and proper as defined. We don't need to read further, read beyond that, because if this committee, for example, let me take it one step slightly further. Let's say this committee goes through a public process to find a suitable candidate, and it does not find that person. And the committee ultimately recommends to the House, listen, we can't find someone who's fit and proper, we recommend renewal. Then sub 6 would kick in, meaning that section 6, which refers to sub 4, says that with regard to public notice to apply for the vacancy, that doesn't have to happen because you're going to renew. This person has already been subjected to the scrutiny via a public process when he or she was initially appointed. But now that we consider renewal, we don't have to go the public scrutiny route because he or she has already satisfied that hurdle. So if we are to reach a point of recommendation for the appointment, there must be a public process to find a fit and proper person. If we're going to go the route of renewal, we don't have to have a public process because the person is already deemed to be fit and proper, having been subjected to scrutiny at the initial process when he or she was appointed as commissioner. So since this committee's mandate is to seek the recommendation, is to reach the recommendation for appointment, we don't have to read beyond subsection 4, because 4 says find a public process wherein you will find a fit and proper person. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Advocate. And that concludes on that matter, honourable colleagues, as we have now resolved to do so. Colleagues, in relation to our process and as we are mandated to do in relation to the appointment of the Public Service Commissioner, I wish to propose to this committee that we invite the Public Service Commission to this committee, and that I think for giving reasonable time that we allow a 2 weeks invitation time for them to come and address on the work relating to the commission in itself. So perhaps 2 weeks from today, we allow time for that. And if the committee then can also agree that an advert should be placed that calls for suitable candidates to apply for this position. But we do that after we meet with the PSC, so that whatever emanates from that discussion, we make sure that we capture within that advertisement. And also, of course, as a committee, we agree on the various publications. If it is in order with the committee, that myself and the procedural officer, then after our meeting 2 weeks from now, then engage on the specifics of the advertisements. And that we also consider giving 3 weeks for applicants to apply and for those applications to be processed as well. Then we also, as a committee, identify in accordance, or rather with the assistance of the PO, to have a date identified where we can discuss those applications received, and also then ultimately come to concurrence on a shortlist, which will then result into interviews. Colleagues, and then also we then set as part of our program a date for those interviews as well. That is in a nutshell as to my proposal would be. And then obviously we will have to advise the parliamentary program to seek suitable dates for those various engagements. You can also then mandate myself and the PO to engage Ms. Simon to make sure that we are programmed in that regard, and those various notices also be distributed to the committee. Colleagues, are there any input with regards to this outline of our planning that you would want to add or comment on?
None. Agreed.
Agreed, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, I see the hand of Mr. Vermeulen.
Chairperson, thank you so much. Chairperson, just a reminder, and I know that you are aware of it because you discussed it with me and we talked about it. That is the issue, Chairperson, of I know it's a few weeks away, but the actual interviews. I think the committee must just apply its mind as well regarding the interview questions. Just some background, Chairperson. In the past, I know some committees, when they deal with appointments, they actually ask for the body, which in this case would be the Public Service Commission, or whether it be the Gambling Board or whatever, to assist them with questions and answers, because they're the experts. But sometimes some committees have felt in the past, no, that can compromise the whole process. The committee itself wants to come up and decide what the questions and answers should be, which is a bit more difficult, Chairperson, if I can be transparent, because the members don't necessarily work, for the Public Service Commission, and coming up with. So that is just something that I'm just sketching the scenario that the committee will have to decide how to move forward. Yes, maybe the committee would want to discuss that, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vermeulen. I see the hand of Honourable Baartman.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, on the Gambling Board, for example, the committee doesn't get questions and answers from the Gambling Board. There's a template that the committee gets from Provincial Treasury as the mother body, because similarly on the Gambling Board, someone might be reapplying for their job. So you can't ask from the Gambling Board the questions and answers. However, despite that, even in that committee, we were not afraid to change questions. I'm confident that members will read the law that applies to the PSC. We will also be getting a briefing from the PSC, and they can also advise us on the things that one should look for. And my understanding is that the Act actually deals with what the functions and or conditions of appointment are. So I'm assuming that will be in our briefing with the PSC as well. And I'm confident that either if the PSC would like to recommend questions and then the committee can go through them and see which we are satisfied with, which we want amended and which we are not satisfied with. Given that we were given a mandate to do this, we need to now execute that mandate, and I'm confident in the ability of the committee to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input, Honourable Bartman. And let us then have the necessary briefing and emanates also our questions and agree as a committee on what will be asked. We still have some time in between to deliberate on that. Can I also just please ask Mr. Vermeulen that we come up with a timeline of events that we engage Ms. Simon as soon as possible. If during the course of today, I'll be grateful for that, so that we do have a proper timeline that we can bring under the attention of the committee that will include dates as well, just for honourable members, just to align their programs as well and make sure that we do not have any parliamentary clashes, and then we can also just formally adopt that timeline. Also, we need to be cognizant of the fact that the various candidates or top candidates as shortlisted also will need to be vetted. So we also need to work that into our program as well to make sure that our time allows. But I'm confident that we will have enough time to conclude this process. Honourable Marie, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to warn and say, let us be careful not to limit the committee when it asks questions. That would be a disaster. As long as the questions have relevance to the appointment and in terms of the Act, and any issue in the Act, it must be addressed. We should be allowed free. I don't like this, a template of questions. When you have a template, you have political favoritism creeping in. You select what is question to be asked and what not. I think we must be very carefully not to limit ourselves. Apart from the Constitutional Court, we are the sovereign body, Parliament. But of course, above us is still the Constitution and the Constitutional Court. And as long as what we ask is in terms of laws, we should be allowed to ask it. I don't want to say that we will decide before the time what questions can be asked and there's a template. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Thank you very much for your input, Honourable Marie. I do believe that as a committee, we should have structure, and especially when during an interview process, it can also be indicated by those that applied that certain questions were asked to a certain individual and others not. And I think we should have that structure as a committee. That's why I'm saying that as part of our timeline, that we allow time for the committee to deliberate and to agree on those, on that structure and that framework of questions posed. Honourable Syed.
Chair, thank you very much, Chair. Chair, Member Marais raises a valid point here, actually, you know. I do agree that we should be having a framework, and let's have the framework. But perhaps if we could have a section in the framework that says if there are any other questions that members would like to pose, which are outside directly, which possibly fall outside of the framework, or let's make the framework a little bit broad so that we find that members are not restricted. Because if we are saying that it's members who must make the recommendation and the committee makes recommendation as to who is appointed, then surely we need a situation where members are allowed to ask the questions that they want to ask. Not just, okay, but obviously not questions which are completely unrelated. So I hear Mr. Marais, and I think he does raise a very valid point, but let's maybe see how we bring that in when the framework is being put together. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Said. Duly noted. Honorable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. And sorry, I connected a little bit later because I was in another meeting. Chair, I think we agree, like Member Barman said, we agree that there will be a scope. And the scope, I think, throughout the years in different committees, as there is appointments that have to be made, that scope is used as sort of a template to give the direction. It doesn't mean everything that is there is what we are going to use. And that, as the committee decide what questions and how to ask questions, it will develop their own questions, set of questions that are going to be asked to the candidates. So it covers what Member Barman said. It covers the concern of Member Mare and also Member Sayed that nothing is cast in stone. So there will be a system as we talk that how do we go about, because the parameters of the responsibilities plus the reality out there of what is the expectations from the public commissioner is what will be the framework of asking the questions that is not per se have to do with your policy itself, but they're doing the action of what is it that the public commissioner is expected to do. So I think we are covered with that. We can continue to with the program, Chair, as you have given guidance that now what is the way forward, and Johan is there to take us forward with it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Maseko. I see the Honorable Klaas.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, what I want to raise is that as the point has been raised and question has been asked, and there was a legal advices that were put on table. But in all that the meeting has also have a right to decide. Now, I would like Chairperson to give us the view that you received from us and what the law direct us on in order for us to continue. Because we can ask questions, but we must know that there is a legality, and all the legality also are finalized by the committee. So we want Chair, you decide now, give us a clarity according to what we have discussed in order for us to see where are we going now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Klaas. On the procedural point, that matter has been dealt with. We're not going back there. I think we've been thoroughly briefed. Honorable members agreed that we move along. So that deals with that one. In terms of the planning going forward for the committee, we've set out that we need time to have a brief. We need time to have a properly constructed advert. We need time, obviously, to leave enough time within our planning process for people to apply. We need time to scrutinize those applications, come up with a short list, leave time for the vetting process, and ultimately also leave time as the committee to construct our questions and agree on those questions. But that also in itself will be more evident when we were able to have the briefing. We know then what the scope are and what is expected of the applicants or the incumbent that should occupy that position. So hence, Mr. Vermeulen are tasked then to, as soon as possible, draft us that timeline, of which that will be also dealt with by the committee and agreed upon, so that we don't go astray and say, but we didn't do this, we didn't attend to that, but that we agree as a committee that that will be our timeline and that it then ultimately be properly programmed. And given the time frame that we have to appoint, we stay within that time frame as well. So, Honorable Said, is there anything else on the committee's work going forward?
No, Chair, mine is just a technical matter. I think with the IT, the Honourable Lecker has indicated, and I don't know because I see her as one of those who have been invited. She indicates that the invitation for the meeting is not in her emails, and now when I sent her the link to log in, she says that it says that the basically she has been unable to log in. So I'm not so perhaps the team can look into that. The IT team can just see maybe they want to call her in, although I think we are concluding now, but just check what went wrong there. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you very much for alluding to that, Honorable Syed. ICT is online. They will certainly do so and see what happened. Honorable Marie, you will be the last person.
Chair, this is not with relation to what we've just discussed. I've noticed how many people have problems with the virtual meetings, and it's really negatively affected. Sometimes viewpoints are not heard. I just want to know whether this committee will ever consider, or not now, that we return to normal, that we have our meetings at Whale Street, at Parliament, and stop living in the COVID era, because it's quite distracting and annoying if every time you are cut off by electricity. So I just want us to keep it in the back of our mind, and that we, in the future discussion, zone in on the need to still meet virtually or not. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Marie. Your comment in that regard is also duly noted. And the committee will ultimately decide their workings, but I do take note of your comment. Honorable members, that deals with our agenda for today. If there's no any other inputs or comments, I believe that we've come to the end of our meeting. So I do not see any hands at this point. Thank you so much for your valuable input. Thank you so much for your indulgence. And as promised, we will circulate that proposed time frame to the committee to make sure that we get going within the prescribed time that we have. Thank you so much again to Advocate Maasdorp. Thank you so much, Mr. Vermeulen, for your support. And thank you so much again to all honorable members. This now concludes our meeting, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Chair.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, Siraj, thank you. Siraj.